Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining us now from the desert, the Vegas Sports and Information Network. Our good friend Matt Youmans. Matt, my friend, first and foremost, how are you? How's life? How are things? How is the weather out there? Because it has been very Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde here. You know, one day it's fine, the next day it's a blizzard out there. Tell me it's just hot and sunny and beautiful and you're playing golf.
No, I can't tell you that, but no blizzards in the desert, so we got that going for us. The weather's not that great, actually. It's overcast, raining a little bit in Vegas today, but who cares? Because it's March Madness week, and we're going to be indoors in sports books all week anyway. So even if the sun were out, I would not be out playing golf. I'm going to be inside in the book watching hoops all week. This is my favorite week of the year, especially the first 2 days of this tournament, the best 2 days in sports.
You know, Matt, I wanted to ask you about that. When it comes to the scene, the setting, the environment that is a sports book at this point of the year, where do you, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but where do you rank this as far as like the most entertaining time of the year?
It's always been number one for me, and I think if you actually based it on the atmosphere in Vegas, the Super Bowl might be number one just because you have a mob of people out here for the Super Bowl, and that 24 hours is pretty damn good. But to me, as from a betting perspective, the NCAA tournament, especially the first 2 days, has been always been number one because you got, instead of one game and the Super Bowl might be a dud, you never know. You've got 48 games, just in the first 2 days or the first weekend, you got 48 games. First 4 days, and we've got a much better chance to see a lot of entertaining results over the first 4 days than you do in one Super Bowl, even if you include the prop bets. I think the crowds for the Super Bowl might be slightly bigger, but man, it's a party out here, especially for the first 3 days of this tournament. I think by Sunday, a lot of people are partied out. They haven't slept for 3 days, and by Sunday, a lot of people get burned out. But the first 3 days, man, you're going strong, no sleep, watching hoops from morning till night.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great time of year when you're at your house to be able to sit down in an actual sports book in Las Vegas of all places to watch this. I feel like that atmosphere, that environment would be crazy. I mean, all it takes is one buzzer beater. We almost had one of the first four the other night with my Mississippi State Bulldogs. They got a great look from three and even had a chance at the tip in. It was like, man, that would be one hell of a way to kick off March Madness if we had a buzzer beater to advance to the round of 64. Who is the odds-on favorite to win this entire tournament?
Houston. There's no odds-on favorite. Odds-on would be minus money, but the favorite to win the tournament is Houston, and you're going to get a slight plus money, about plus 140 on Houston to get out of the Midwest region, plus 140, 150, and I think that's because Houston has got the easiest path of any region to get back home for the Final Four. I don't think Alabama's got a terribly difficult trip through the South region, but there's no doubt when you look at the brackets that the West is the toughest and the East is probably number two. And I think Houston's got the easiest path through there. Houston might have to get by Texas, maybe Xavier, but I mean, that's comparatively speaking, that's a relatively easy bracket. And I hate to pick number one seeds to get to the Final Four, but I had to pick Houston to get to the Final Four, and Houston's the favorite.
Ooh, do you have any other number one seeds in your Final Four, Matt Youmans?
Yeah, I do have Alabama, and this will be Alabama's first ever Final Four, by the way, if the Tide make it. And that's I didn't want to pick Alabama as a Final Four team, but the way the bracket sets up, in the bottom half, I don't see a team in the top half that can contend with Alabama's athletes and a guy like Brandon Miller. In the bottom half of the bracket, Creighton, Arizona, those teams can be dangerous. I'm not sure if they got enough to take out the Tide. So I've actually got two number one seeds. I hate to say it. I'm kind of embarrassed to have two number one seeds in my Final Four, but I've got Alabama and Houston. In the bottom half out of the East, I've got Duke knocking off Purdue and Duke getting there to the Final Four. And I've got in the West, UCLA, even though the Bruins are a little bit shorthanded, I've got UCLA over UConn in the West Final. Man, that West is going to be a gauntlet. And Alabama, Duke in one half of the Final Four, Houston, UCLA in the other, and I've got Houston over Duke in the championship game.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Because you're out west, and I don't know if you have an answer for this. Because why in the world would you anybody ever ask you this? Right. But I because I work in both the Big Ten and in the MAC. I have this weird sort of crazy I don't know. It's like an affinity for the mid majors, right? I want to see them do well. I would love to see the MAC get back to the Bonzi Wells and the Wally Zerbiak days of the world, where they could get two teams in, and it all just didn't rely on the conference tournament winner representing the conference in the big dance. Like, maybe they'll get another bid. I don't know. But my question for you is, how in the world did the Mountain West find a way to get 4 teams in the tournament? Because that's a pretty comparable, when you look at just athletic departments as a whole and you stack up the Mountain West to the MAC, it feels like they should be neck and neck. 4 from the Mountain West?
You know what? I'm a Mountain West proponent. I have been, but I don't think the league is that great either, and especially not this year. I don't think it deserved 4. I thought you could make an argument for 3, and if Mountain West got 2, that was probably fair. I definitely think Nevada backed into the tournament. The Wolfpack beat, so had a pretty good, I think, resume up until the final week, and then got beat by Wyoming, UNLV, and San Jose in the final week. And I really don't understand how Nevada got in the field. So, but you say that, and then you watch the first 4, and then if Nevada wins, you're going to have people saying, "Well, I can't believe Nevada got in the tournament." But look, Nevada won a game. Anyway, I think that San Diego State's legit, and Utah State is a solid team. Boise State's a solid team. I can make a case for 3 out of the Mountain West, but you know what? If you're betting the Mountain West in this tournament over the past 4 or 5 years, you might as well invest your money in Silicon Valley Bank, because the Mountain West has lost 8 straight in this tournament. Mountain West and lost 10 of the past 11. So you're right about this. This conference has got a lot to prove, especially this week. I don't know how you can continue to lose in this tournament and get 3 or 4 teams in every year.
Yeah, it's like I said, I mean, I'm just a soft spot for the Mid-American Conference, and I always look around to see, what mid-majors. I know it's a little bit different when you're comparing football and basketball, high major to mid-major, Power 5 to Group of 5, but I'm looking for similar conferences and how exactly they were able to wheel that one, and that it was a little bit of a head scratcher. That much is for sure.
Yeah.
8 teams for the Big Ten. I've asked everybody that we've talked to college hoops about this. People ask me about this. I don't have a clear-cut answer because I don't believe that there is one. But when you see the Big Ten, we put up a poll question yesterday. Because there are 8 teams in there, and that's tied for the most out of any conference to make the NCAA tournament, will we see over or under 3.5 Big Ten teams make the Sweet 16?
Under.
Didn't hesitate either, folks. It's not looking good for me and my Big Ten slappies.
Well, I'm actually a Big Ten guy. I grew up in the Midwest around Chicago, and I went to Purdue, and I'm well versed on Purdue's March miseries, and I've seen it over the years. I'm hoping that Boilermakers can get over the hump with Zach Edey, but some of those guys are going to start having to knock down some 3-pointers when he throws the ball out from the double teams, because Purdue's gone cold. The freshman guards have been a wall. I mean, Purdue's your best shot to get to the Sweet 16, because they should be able to beat. They're going to definitely win the first round. Should be able to beat Memphis or Florida Atlantic in the second round. Even though, don't be surprised if that becomes a chic pick for a lot of people to have Purdue knocked off in the second round of the tournament. But 8 Big Ten teams, I really thought Rutgers would get in. Michigan was on the fringe up until losing in the Big Ten tournament. I've got Michigan State winning a game. I've got Purdue in the Sweet 16. I've got Indiana actually winning 2 games to get to the Sweet 16, but I got to tell you, I was very hesitant on that. I think the Hoosiers could get knocked off by Kent State in the first round. I bet Kent State plus 4.5 in that game. I like the Golden Flashes quite a bit. So be careful with Indiana. I've got Penn State winning 1 game before losing to Texas, and I've got Northwestern winning 1 game before losing to UCLA. So if you're looking for Big Ten teams to go deep in this tournament, don't hold your breath.
If you do, you're going to pass out, and that's where you're going to find me. The crazy thing about that that you like that Penn State team. I mean, Sincere Carey, he was right there for Player of the Year award with Ray J. Dennis out of Toledo. I work for the University of Toledo, so I had to watch that MAC championship game. I also work for the University of Michigan, so I got the NIT head-to-head matchup of 2 teams that were right there on the cusp. Toledo just fell in the MAC championship game, and Michigan played themselves out in the last, 3 games of the season, just kind of crumbling a little bit there. So, yeah, there's a lot of heartbreak around there. But Indiana and Kent State is definitely one that I think that all of our listeners all throughout the state of Michigan, in Northwest Ohio, wherever you're at, if you're listening to this program, that is one of those games that you circle for sure. The 5-12 matchup, Matt, is always one in which people think that they can make a little scratch here. Is there a 5-12 matchup where you do like the 12 seed ahead of the 5 seed?
Okay, I'm going to look at the 5-12. So you got San Diego State, Charleston in the South. I do think Charleston could be live there as a 5-point dog against the Aztecs. So that's 112 that could get there. Duke and Oral Roberts in the 5-12. I would have loved Oral Roberts, and I wanted to advance this team to the Sweet 16. It just happens that the Blue Devils, close to the hottest team in the country coming into this tournament. I don't think many people realize it, but when fully healthy, Duke is 17-1 this season. So that's a really tough draw for Oral Roberts. I'm not going to advance Oral Roberts there, but that's the type of game that if you get more than 6 points, I would have looked to play the dog. I'm not on that as we speak. The other 12-5, St. Mary's, VCU. I'm all in on VCU here because St. Mary's can't really handle pressure defenses. And what's VCU's style? So this is styles makes fights sort of matchup here. And not only this, St. Mary's drew a game in Albany, New York. It was a very tough draw for a California team to have to go out and play a VCU team that pressures. I've got VCU +4. And I like the Rams to win that game. So I think that's the most likely 12 to win. If it's not Drake against Miami, I can tell you there's a ton of money, not just in Vegas, but in the sports betting market all over the country on Drake, the Bulldogs, +3 against Miami. And that number's actually dropped to 2 at most spots. That's a 12-5 matchup. And if you look at this Drake team, why not? It fits the profile of a dangerous dog. 27-17 team. Tucker DeVries, 6'7" sophomore guard, son of a coach, 19 points a game, shoots 39% from 3. And how about this? He's surrounded by 4 senior starters. I like Drake actually in that game. I think Drake and VCU are your most likely 12s to advance, but it's a good question because every year we look for these 12-5 upsets, and I think 3 of the 12s are live. And I would say 4 if Oral Roberts didn't have a really difficult draw with Duke.
Yeah, boy, I'm telling you what, if they just could have flipped Oral Roberts with Louisiana Monroe, you know what I'm saying? Like just give me a little tinker right there. Let's have some fun there because Oral Roberts, they got that one kid that's like 12 feet tall. It looks like Gumby out there. I forget.
Connor Vanover.
Thank you.
Connor Vanover. Yeah, I mean they're all like a traveling carnival. They got a little guard, Max Amos, who averages 22 points, right? And he could shoot the lights out and fire threes from 30 feet. And then you got 7'5" Connor Vanover, a transfer from Arkansas, who can actually step out and he hits a 3 at 33%. So I would love to see Oral Roberts make a run, but man, come on, match him up with anybody but Duke. But I think that's part of that is CBS getting a really attractive primetime game there. You knew that game was going to be in prime time.
Yeah, it's too good of a matchup there. And of course, with Shire's first year at Duke, I mean, what kind of run can they have post Coach K? That'll be very interesting to follow. I know that you mentioned you did have Michigan State winning a game. Tom Izzo leading the Spartans to 25 consecutive NCAA tournaments. I mean, it's wild. The only other team that has a streak that is longer than the Spartans right now, I believe, is the University of Kentucky at like 33? Or is it Kentucky?
No, I think it's
Kansas. Kansas. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's Kansas at 33. Then you have, but that's then you get different coaches there. This is one guy who does it every single year. Where do you place Tom Izzo? I guess on the Mount Rushmore or whatever kind of hyperbole you want to use here. Where do you place him in like the history of college hoops?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I would say, let's put him in the conversation for top 10 all time. I haven't really thought about it much, but I mean, Izzo's been to 8 Final Fours, and he won the national championship in was it 2000?
2000, yep.
Yep, 2000. So, and by the way, that's the last championship for the Big Ten, right? So it's time for the Big Ten to break through and win another one. I can't believe it's been that long. But Izzo, with all his tournament success and all the Final Fours and the fact the guy's been so consistent, I love him. Hate to bet against him. And even though my power ratings show USC as a 2-point favorite and Michigan State's actually a 2-point favorite in the game, I don't want to bet USC because I don't want to bet against Tom Izzo here. And I was really surprised the Spartans did not play better in the Big Ten tournament. You know, to lose that game to Ohio State by 10 and really not even put up a big fight was a surprise to me. But sometimes that can be a good thing when you get to the NCAA tournament. I think teams that are off conference tournament disappointments actually a lot of times come in and play better the next week in the big tournament. So I'm somewhat optimistic about the Spartans here. Tyson Walker's got to have a big game, though, for Michigan State to make any sort of run.
Matt Youmans joining us on Vegas Sports and Information Network. Matt, do you have one sleeper team that you've been keeping your eye on that you really like? It could be, hell, it could be a 2-seed. It could be a team like Marquette if you wanted to. But is there one team that, outside of your pick to win the national championship, one other team you think is going to make a lot of noise?
Boy, it's it's interesting because when you fill out these brackets, you want to pick some of the Cinderellas to go aways, but the deeper you get into the brackets, the more chalk you have prevailing, right? Because Cinderella usually hits the wall in the Sweet 16. So you look at the list of teams that are most likely to make a run that fit the Cinderella label. It's Oral Roberts, Iona, Florida Atlantic, Kent State, Drake, UNC Asheville, I'll say Vermont, Furman, Colgate, Charleston, Kennesaw State. I got to be honest, out of that group, we already talked about them. I think Kent State's got the best chance to make a run. I think Kent State can upend Indiana, win the second round game, and then in the Sweet 16, we could have a Houston-Kent State matchup. And don't forget, those teams played in a non-conference, and actually Kent State played them tough, 49-44 on the road. Kent State also played Gonzaga tough on the road, lost 73-66. Those are two really good losses. If you can have a good loss, those are two good ones. I think Kent State's the most dangerous of the Cinderella-type teams.
Watch out for the golden flashes out of the Mid-American Conference. His name is Matt Youmans. You can find him on Twitter, Matt Youmans 24/7. Matt, my friend, thank you so much for your time today, partner. We greatly appreciate it, and enjoy the NCAA tournament.
All right, you bet. Always great talking with you.
Can you imagine being out there in the desert and sitting there with, God knows how many people at whatever sports book and watching March Madness? I mean, if anybody's ever been to Las Vegas.
I was there. I was there Sweet 16. Like, the year I was 21. I had been 21 for like 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. I was there for a wedding, but it was Sweet 16 weekend.
How about the regional final being in Vegas?
Vegas is a hot spot for hoops.